TV Spotlight. Press Gang. Press Gang is the name of a British comedy drama series aimed at teenagers that ran for 5 seasons from 1989 to 1993, with a total of 43 episodes. The series focused on the staff of the Junior Gazette, a youth newspaper run by sixth-form high school students, though after the second series the paper became independent, with most of the staff becoming proper full-time employees after having left school. The series was completely written by the one and only Steven Moffat, who has of course gone on to become a highly controversial Doctor Who writer and showrunner. Whatever you think of Moffat's modern work on that show, however, Press Gang, which was actually his first television work, rarely sees him ever put a foot wrong, writing with a confidence, wit and dramatic verve that is rarely seen in modern television. The two main characters of Press Gang are the paper's spectacularly fiery and scalingly sharp-tongued editor, Linda Day, played with fantastic spark by the lovely Julia Sawalha, and American reporter Spike Thompson, played by Dexter Fletcher. The combative, up and down, on and off but deeply loyal relationship between these two opposites is the central feature of the series and always a highlight. Other characters include Colin Matthews, the paper's morally bankrupt, money-obsessed shyster accountant, played by Paul Reynolds in what is, for me, one of the funniest yet most criminally overlooked comic performances in British television. Reynolds' performance gets more grotesque, OTT and deranged over the course of the series, and Colin is rarely less than hilarious to watch. There's also Kenny Phillips, played by Lee Ross. I always find it hilarious that Ross has gone on to make a career out of playing hard-man psychopaths, when Kenny is about as opposite of that as you can imagine. The epitome of the put-upon nice guy, Kenny has been Linda's long-suffering best friend since childhood and is one of the few people on Earth who can put up with her for long without losing his rag, and one of the few people she actually likes. Press Gang won the BAFTA Award in 1990 for Best Children's Drama Series, though putting it in that category almost seems to demean it. Over the course of 5 seasons the staff of the Junior Gazette tackled difficult stories and issues without ever being patronizing, including solvent abuse, teen suicide and drug addiction, and some of its episodes, such as Season 3's notorious Gun Siege 2-parter The Last Word, are as dramatic and intense as anything on any so-called adult drama series. Choosing a favorite season is a tough one. I usually find myself split between Season 2, 3 and 5. Season 1 is a good season, though inevitably has that first season thing of both writer and cast working out their characters and what the show is going to be, while Season 4 is probably my least favorite, veering into whimsy ones too many for my liking. That being said, unexpected, unaffectionate homage to cult TV with Fraz apparently being haunted by a fictional character from an old kids show, is very engaging, and Love and War is a more typical Press Gang comedy episode that then turns around and delivers an emotional sucker punch in its final minutes. As brilliant as Season 2 and 3 are, I often think of 5, the final season, as actually being my favorite. I have very fond memories of receiving a VHS copy of it from a friend in the UK back in 1993, and watching the whole thing in one evening and adoring it. And the season still stands up, with 4 of the 6 episodes probably being in my top 10, including the devastating final episode There Are Crocodiles, and the absolute nail-biter that is A Quarter to Midnight, one of those episodes that has you shouting at the screen as Linda finds herself trapped in a nightmarish and potentially fatal situation with no apparent way out. Even as someone with only mild claustrophobia, this episode is bloody scary. Another reason for my particular fondness for Series 5 is just the more mature relationship Spike and Linda have developed by this point. These two spend more of the previous 4 seasons arguing, flirting, arguing, chasing, arguing, denying and arguing, albeit very entertainingly, than they actually do together. But in Season 5 we find a Spike and Linda that are finally in a committed relationship and seemingly very content with it, still bantering but in a much more relaxed and openly affectionate manner. As an old sook, I find I like that very much. I first saw Press Gang in 1990, joining at some point early in the second season. It was, at first, one of a number of shows I used to watch while doing my homework in order to stave off boredom, but quickly got so hooked that it ended up being a show I did my homework around in order to avoid being distracted from this wonderful program by that pointless, boring, time-wasting crap. I managed to catch up with season 1 with a repeat screening on early evenings on Sunday, a move that managed to score the series as many adult fans as it did younger ones. 30 years on, and, while some of the technology may have dated, the writing and the characters certainly haven't. Press Gang remains one of my top 10, nay, top 5, favorite television shows of all time, and I cannot recommend it highly enough to anyone who hasn't seen it. There is no possible way that I can give this marvelous and endlessly rewatchable show anything less than a full-on A+.